Oh, hey there. So your boy is finally going on a date with someone I just met a few hours ago, though I can't really figure out what she's saying.
日本人なら字幕
Anyways, I'd like you to help me pick a new body for my first impression. There's my more muscular form, my more round form, or maybe my more eldritch form. First impressions are always important, as someone's thoughts on something are very hard to change. This is especially true when it comes to film discourse. I think we all know what the general consensus around Spider-Man 3 was for many years. People argued endlessly over whether it was one of the worst superhero films or a misunderstood entry that wasn't nearly as bad as people make it out to be. In many ways, Spider-Man 3 perfectly illustrates the so-called third movie curse, the idea that the third installment in a trilogy is often the most divisive. However, what exactly was the discourse around the film like when it first came out in 2007?
Amazing, yeah. Wow.
Sandman's going to be great too, so I think it's going to be a great film.
It just got my heart racing. I just can't wait to see the film now. I really can't.
Spider-Man 3 is definitely the movie to catch for 2007. Do not miss it. Absolutely do not miss it.
I don't think I have to tell you that Spider-Man 3 was immensely hyped during its initial marketing. 3 was coming off the acclaimed Spider-Man duology, with most feeling that Spider-Man 1 and 2 represented one of the best superhero films ever made. Things were looking good, fans were immensely hyped to see anything for the film, which was reflected in the myriad of fan-made trailers and content coming out at the time, with even some going as far as to leak the trailer. Okay, so it was clear that Spider-Man 3 might potentially be the most anticipated film of summer 2007, and thankfully during this time, there was zero indication about the film's quality.
And the first showing of Spider-Man 3, a little bit of mixed reactions. Some thought it was cheesy, a lot of people liked the action, and there was a whole lot of action. It's pretty good stuff too.
When the film first came out, the reviews started hitting the internet. If you check sites like Rotten Tomatoes, you'd see that Spider-Man 3 hovered around the mid to low 60s. To be clear, a 60s rating on Rotten Tomatoes doesn't mean the film is bad. Content-wise, this would indicate that the film was receiving mixed reception, with some critics liking it and others expressing their dislike of the film. The same could be said for the audience score, which also hovered around the low 60s, meaning that fans had mixed thoughts on the film. Now, based on the reviews, it seems like the common criticisms for the film were one, there was a lot of drama in the movie, a lot more than what was in the previous films. In fact, the drama was seen as corny by a lot of people, especially with how often characters cried in the film.
Who the fuck didn't cry? It was like a drama movie with bricks or something.
And Spider-Man, why did he keep crying? He's a superhero. Stop the crying. We don't want that.
And don't ever make Spider-Man cry again.
2. There was weirdly a lot of singing in the film.
Hey, take a look at this! What the hell?
Now dig on this.
And 3. There was way too much going on in the film. Some have expressed that the movie had too many storylines, to the point where certain characters and plot points don't receive the attention they deserve. This is also reflected in the amount of villains, as there were way too many in the film that the narrative focus suffered because of it. Not all reviews were bad though. There was also many that loved the film despite its flaws, and that's what I want to make clear. There was an acknowledgement by many that the film was not perfect. It did have its problems, but nonetheless, it was very enjoyable. The elements in particular that were praised were the action scenes, which many described as exciting and the best action in the entire trilogy. The technical aspects were also very well done, being top-notch. And yeah, the movie was corny, but I don't think it was any more corny than the previous films.
I always try to keep my fans entertained, but I gotta agree with them. Some parts were cheesy with the other actors, you know. I try to help support them.
So to make it clear, Spider-Man 3 was an enjoyable film, exciting, action-packed, and visually impressive. However, the film tries to tell a story that is undermined by the rush plot, unfocused narrative, too many characters, and corny drama. The consensus wasn't really that the film was horrible, but weaker than the first two movies. In terms of how the creative team reacted to the mixed reception, you'd be hard-pressed to find any. Since they were a part of the film, they'd never once mention if they felt unsatisfied with how the movie turned out.
Kirsten, so you finally got a chance to see it. What did you think?
I thought it was amazing. I'm very
bad.
It was a lot of fun, and I really liked the movie. So.
Well, this was the case for the actors, but not Sam Raimi himself. For those who were observant, it was clear that the grand nature of Spider-Man 3's plot was not entirely something Sam Raimi had intended whatsoever, and that perhaps he was forced to make the movie that way. We know this thanks to a few strange remarks from Sam Raimi about Avi Arad. There was of course Comic-Con 2006, where Raimi would outright state that he didn't understand Venom as a character and only made him the main antagonist because Avi Arad told him to. He also makes this clear once again come April 23rd of 2007. Raimi, in an interview with Dark Horizons, would state that the original vision of Spider-Man 3 was different until Avi Arad came in and told them to add Venom for the sake of the fans. Raimi does try to be polite in this interview, but you do always get the sense that Spider-Man 3, as it was now, was not something he was very happy with, but nonetheless has to defend his creative choices. This would not always be the case though. Eventually, Sam Raimi would begin expressing his disappointment over Spider-Man 3's reception. Interview after interview, he'd speak about how he was saddened by the negative reviews and vowed to take every criticism to heart if he were ever to make a Spider-Man 4.
People really hold him so dear to them that you don't want to mess up, and I messed up plenty with the third Spider-Man.
Back to basics. That's the phrase Raimi often used to address how he would approach a Spider-Man 4. It was clear that Raimi understood that the bloated nature of 3 is why so many were upset by the film. You can't help but feel sympathy for the guy. From what he says, it's clear he wanted Spider-Man 3 to be great, but expresses that he really had no say in how the movie turned out. He even states that he'd redo the whole movie if he could, but would never be allowed to. Now, the reactions from fans regarding Raimi's regret over 3 was pretty regrettable, with most fans feeling that Raimi was trying to use the studio and the producers as a scapegoat to escape any accountability about how Spider-Man 3 was received.
They give you shit for that?
All the time. Yeah.
Why? What do they say?
We hate you.
Just a non-specific.
I wouldn't read into that too much.
Maybe it was time for Raimi to step down from the franchise altogether, as by 2008 and 2009, it seems many fans wanted Raimi gone from the franchise altogether. At some point a year or two after the release of Spider-Man 3, you started seeing the consensus that the movie was horrible, one of the worst superhero films ever made. Perhaps this change in consensus is tied to the development of Spider-Man 4, when fans started hearing on how Spider-Man 4's story and characters would be like. Many started to express the opinion that maybe Raimi was never that good of a director and Spider-Man 3's quality was his fault rather than the producers and the studio. If you were to ask me, Spider-Man 3 was never nearly as bad as some people said a few years ago. Sure, personally, I enjoyed the first 2 films better, but 3 is far from the awful film some describe it as. I think in recent years, the consensus on Spider-Man 3's quality is quite different. I mean, look up Spider-Man 3 on YouTube and you'll see that it's by far the most talked about Spider-Man film in the Raimi trilogy. Many now appreciate the movie for what it was, its flaws, its positives, and its weird quirks.